I ordered coffee and a waffle. What was presented with a side of muffins, a side of pancakes, three biscuits, two sides of toast, an entire stick of butter, and extra bacon. The supporting tour kicked off in Sardinia, followed by a bar crawl that generated an enormous tab. What a win-win.
Honestly, I'm beginning to feel like they don't care if I attend the annual Comcast shareholder meetings. I've got a good mind to miss the next one.
That's what they
I can't
deserve.
attend a lot of
Yeah. The supporting tour kicked off in Sardinia, followed by a... It falls into the category of first world problems like this candle doesn't even smell like lilac. Or this whole music, followed by a bar crawl that generated an enormous tab. Have a Coke and a smile and go fuck. Stevie Wonder, song in the keys of life. How about songs in the key of shut the hell up?
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
I'm living far away where anything can reach the ceiling.
So,
Happy spring solstice.
yes, it's spring in Baltimore, which means blinding sun and ice cold wind. So,
And you got your spring solstice basket last week.
yes, spring solstice basket filled with all kinds of naughties, chocolate, alcohol, hot items of various things,
I had the
pepper
last.
chips.
I actually found some bourbon that's in a can that looks like it's lighter fluid.
Yeah, it's actually really good, but I just said don't put it anywhere near the real lighter fluid. I don't want to make that mistake. Turpentine drinking drunk again, you know. So, you know.
Like, babe, that's the lighter fluid. Oh,
So, there's a lot of like music review channels out there, and I will sometimes go down a rabbit hole of reading bad music reviews.
Yeah.
Like when people just write three sentences and they obviously don't know what the hell they're doing. So we pulled together some of our favorites. So here we go. We'll start off with the first Boston album.
Boston. 2 spins and I realized not one single song is about spaceships.
Get the hell out of town.
Not exactly an encounter of the close kind. I'd have a lot more peace of mind if I was zooming between the asteroids. Hashtag NASA forever. I think you also have to do the Spock thing.
Live long and prosper.
How about Abbey Road?
Okay.
Octopus Garden? Her Majesty? How about songs about mollusks and monarchy? I hoped they looked both ways.
That's a good point. I never thought about that. Here's one. Kate Bush, Hounds of Love. No wonder dogs are attracted to her. She sounds like a squeaky toy. All she needs now is a pork chop in her purse. Running up that hill to a fire hydrant, apparently. How about Bone Thugs and Harmony? Also, look at that bedhead.
Slipknot, Iowa. Well, the second song is called People Equals Shit, so I guess this isn't Pet Sounds like I was hoping. What is wrong with modern music these days? The guy's shouting like he stepped on a tack and a Lego at the same instant. And the guitarists sound like a blown-out muffler from an old Studebaker. Yamafla. Makes me think fondly of a bratty toddler throwing strained peas at me. There's a fish called a shad that has over 3,000 bones.
Interesting. Before I forget, this week's sponsor is Implausible Bovine Seltzer. They will not put up with BS.
Yeah, sometimes I think with some of these reviews, they just sat on the keyboard.
Stevie Wonder, Song in the Keys of Life. How about songs in the key of shut the hell up? For someone who can't see, he sure spends a lot of time staring at piano keys. Remember that story? Moon rock, Stevie. There's a story in Lemmy's book about Stevie Wonder in the 70s. He had a handler that would walk around with him. And at one point, they're in a museum and he's feeling the moon rocks. And the guy next to him is like, they're moon rocks, Stevie. Yeah, that was his job.
Ebony and Ivory.
So David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. I'll put the album cover up. Not bad, but still trying to figure out which song has Kanye on it. Maybe he just has like writing credits or something like this.
Something like this.
Yeah.
Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. This album cover had me ready for biker metal. Boogie woogie pianos and songs about angels.
Yeah.
Bat out my ass, more like it.
Mm-hmm.
See anything by dashboard lights. Everyone knows you have to flip on the dome lights.
All right. Time to get serious here. Finally, Bee Gees, Life in a Tin Can. The same recycled songs from the last couple of albums. This band is obviously way past their expiration date. The supporting tour kicked off in Sardinia, followed by a bar crawl that generated an enormous tab. Have a Coke and a smile and go fuck yourself. Okay. Our Comcast goes down something like 3 to 4 times a day, but it's only when I need the internet, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm just reading a book or using my abacus, it's lightning fast and very reliable, you know. The idea of cable is all you need, and then we're golden, you know.
You know, they sent me an email that they've increased our speed from something like stupid fast to ultra fast or ludicrous speed or something.
Something. Yeah.
Of course, it's usually disconnected, but if we can get past that little snafu, it's a rocket ride at no extra cost to us.
Yeah. What a win-win.
You know, honestly, I'm beginning to feel like they don't care if I attend the annual Comcast shareholder meetings. I've got a good mind to miss the next one.
That's what they
I can't
deserve.
attend a lot of
Yeah.
meetings.
Slow internet connection, it is upsetting because there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like the old days when you could like fiddle with the rabbit ears on the TV to get a better picture. That also did nothing, but at least you felt like you were doing something.
Get out some aluminum foil.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
helped.
I always feel like a whiner complaining about slow internet. It's kind of like it falls into the category of first world problems, like this candle doesn't even smell like lilac, or this whole music. The giggles today. All right, hold on. I always feel like a whiner complaining about slow internet speed because it kind of falls into that first world problem, like this candle doesn't even smell like lilac, or this whole music isn't very soothing. The salad dressing made the croutons a little soggy for my taste, you know.
Blue Cross is the king of irritating. They display really irritating classical, and you want to hang up.
One time I called the Stratton Company and they had No More Mr. Nice Guy, Alice Cooper was their whole music. And the person came on and I was like, could you put me back on hold? Well, the song's over. I only happened one time. Anyway.
Yeah, we couldn't make it more obvious at my office that we only came in to use the printer.
Yeah.
Then if somebody screws it up, the whole office kind of turns on them. Who is trying to print this 11x7 crab cake recipe? And a poster of yoga poses that help with irritability and digestive flow? Really? Who printed out MapQuest directions? That is so 1990s. I've got my cat's birthday invitations in the pipeline, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, priorities, people, you know. I remember in the 80s, the first time somebody showed me a fax machine, I was totally blown away. We have reached the pinnacle of technology, and this will never be beat. You know, you're telling me I can send the entire Loco Taco menu to the office way down in PG County and they'll get it? Front and back? Get the fuck out of here. I had to call them just to check, and we were all so excited. Yes, it's coming through now. Let's get tacos. If we were waiting on paperwork via the fax machine, I would say, what are you, too busy to pick up a fax? Where were you? You know, I never practiced safe fax either. I always just raw dog with no cover sheet. And I don't bother to put it to anybody's attention. It's practically a fax faux pas, but I just go all loose and fast with my willy-nilly sending. Or sometimes I like cover sheets that say, attention, all planets of the Solar Federation. We have assumed control.
We actually get fax scams, like advising us of an inheritance that we forgot to claim. It's always very vaguely written.
Yeah.
Usually addressed to a doctor who used to work in our office and is now himself also deceased.
No.
I mean, how many idiots are falling for a fax claim to a fortune left to you by like the Count of Monte Cristo?
Yeah.
All you got to do is, go to this internet website, right?
Yeah.
There are sometimes so generically addressed, it would personalize you as dear user.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're on
Obviously, it's for me.
on a first name basis.
I'm using it. Yeah. It must be curiosity killed the catfish much. We also get faxes saying that we're approved for like $3 million in business capital. And it also says we don't even need to apply or demonstrate profit or even what our business even is. We also every day get random faxes about a roofer offering services.
Mhm.
This is your business model. Dude, we are paying rent and are not now or in any court of law are we interested in the roof or who to fix it. So I guess it's free, right? You know, it doesn't cost you anything and it's a random fax in the dark. Is sure to strike gold from someone who gets it and is currently being rained on at their desk.
Imagine that. Yeah.
But literally every day, I'm like roofing.
Yep.
So, have you ever thought about why men's shirts button on the right while women's shirts button on the left?
I have like 2 or 3 shirts that have the zipper or the button on the left, and it really freaks me out. I have a really hard time with it.
Well, apparently it has something to do with, an errant sword fight breaking out, which is very common these days. Seriously, it was apparently due to the fact that at one time, if you did pack a sword, you carried it on your left side. So I guess there were no women swashbucklers because they didn't have to worry about that problem. Because that way, if the buttons fell on that side, it would be less likely when you took your sword out, it wouldn't get caught on your jacket. So, definitely first world problems.
This has been Anuga Montoya's Fashions with Stacy. Our feature interview this week is with Johanna Andersson of the doom metal band Lucifer. We have a fabulous discussion about the making of the new album, sharing songwriting duties with her husband Nika, and the struggle for healthy eating. And we even get into a fascinating discussion about her crucifixion. So stay tuned for that. And we may find out who Nika's favorite Thin Lizzy record is. Maybe. So stay tuned for that.
I may have just found my new best friend in Joanna.
Yes.
We had a lot in common.
So let's play a song. This is Immaculate Heart.
Lay it on me, lay it on me, nothing in the world can take. Lay it on me, lay it on me, nothing here that I can say. I'm only ready for what you have in store.
Okay. Before we talk about Patreon, let me just say we really have appreciated all of the correspondences we've gotten, especially from our friends in Europe and other places about the bridge collapsing. Luckily, we don't live anywhere near that, but we appreciate the concerns. We are fine, and no one was injured that we know of.
Yeah,
I think there were only 6 workers that were actually
Well, only,
killed.
but
Yeah.
luckily the boat set out a Mayday distress and they were able to stop the traffic, and it was at 1:30 in the morning. It's kind of on the other side of Baltimore. We rarely travel the Key Bridge, but
Especially at 1:30 a.m. on a
yeah,
Monday
we
night.
appreciate a lot of people.
But appreciate all the concern. Very, very nice. It's good to feel like people are looking out for you. So anyway, at this point, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcast. And for $6.66 a month, you get tons of bonus content that you can't find anywhere else. I've got a lot to upload this week. I just finished writing reviews for Zahn's live record, Yoko Ono's Fly, and this. The book is called Living Loud. It's the entire history of Kerrang! Magazine from its creation in 1981 to present day. So if you'd like to hear all about that, check us out on Patreon.
And don't forget, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button for this channel so you don't miss any episode or
Wacky hijinks.
any wacky hijinks we choose to upload. Give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram. We also put a lot of stuff up there, as well as live stream when we go to concerts.
Mhm.
So come on over and give us a like. That way we can also, sometimes we do polls for our audience, and it helps make this show better for you when we get your input.
Absolutely. So let's get Jurassic on their asses.
Oh my.
Go ahead.
Some of the larger species, like the brontosaurus, had to eat upwards of 2,000 pounds of food a day. It's too bad they didn't have the triple impossible Whopper or the Bob Evans sausage, gravy, and biscuit bowl, because I think they have approximately 2,000 calories
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah. So dinosaurs are actually divided into 2 groups due to the structure of their hip bones.
Mhm.
Lizard hip dinosaurs had bones pointing forward, while bird hipped all pointed backward. Another category is the hipster dinosaur, which is usually spelled like patchouli oil and quoted Jack Kerouac a lot.
The word dinosaur actually comes from the Greek word meaning terrible lizard. Rumor has it the network considered Dino Sitcom as a name for what would become The Big Bang Theory and 2.5 Men.
Both of which were terrible sitcoms. Yes.
I have known for a long time, as being a former bird owner, that they were obviously descendants of dinosaurs, not particularly just lizards. We had a lovebird that when he wanted a shiny coin or some food that you had that often we didn't want him to have, he would run, wings pasted back, mouth open, tongue out, head bowed, Quite Tyrannosaurus Rex style,
Mhm.
jetting himself to the desired object. He was a terrifying ball of fearsome feathers, charging all the way across the dining room table, attacking my children's homework assignments, which were often returned with various holes and even corners missing.
Hmm.
A little hard to explain that the bird ate your homework.
Yeah.
But if you ever want to see a dug up rock or fossil and you're not sure which it is, you can tell by licking it. A fossil will stick to your tongue and a rock will not. May or may not be poisonous, but hey. So if you hold one to your ear, you can get your friends to whisper about you behind your back and draw circles with their fingers next to their head.
I only lick fossils when someone triple dog dares me. Okay, so I don't think I've told this story before. Everybody knows that it's scary when you start a new job. You know, will I like it? Will I get along with the employees? That sort of thing. Can I do the job? But when you get hired, like I used to as a manager or hire, I personally had the fear that they were trying to take advantage of me, try to get the new guy to take on work his predecessor wouldn't. You know, it's very tricky getting the lay of the land and keeping opportunistic dickheads from fopping their work off on you. You know, oh, Bob always did these reports for me, you know, that sort of thing, right? So you have to really have your guard up. It's tricky. And here's a true story. I had just started this new job. I was in charge of logistics for this pretty big company. They had like 18 plants and different shipping locations around the country. And I was doing a presentation in front of them, all the operations and salespeople. And I said something like, it'll take me a little time to learn your network. I know some locations pay more for urgent transportation. Others opt for maximum dollar savings, depending on geography. This jackass sales guy stands up and says, Mark, I was thinking, why not give us an order of magnitude on the rates? And I said, I'm sorry, a what? And jackass goes, you know, all the scenarios, air, rail, truck, to and from all the locations. Then we'd have the real big picture. Basically, he was suggesting something that would take me like a month of tireless number crunching. I said, thanks, but I'll work on your existing setup, right? But I never forget an asshole. So we had, as karma had it, I went with Jackass at a dinner for one of his clients. When the waitress came up, I said, John likes to do what's called an order of magnitude with the appetizers. If you could bring us one of everyone, that would be great. And his customer loved it. Fuck you. I could feel his eyes burning into the side of my head. The customer is also quite pleased when I offered an order of magnitude on cocktails. One of everything. Bring it. Don't fuck with me. No. We haven't done Gary Shirk in a while.
No, we haven't.
Let's see what's up with Gary Shirk. This episode is called Barrel of Laughs. It was one of those hazy summer mornings when you would have better luck finding a two-headed possum than a decently paved road. The only sound was the slight whir of the wiper motor as I steered the LTD up a steep incline and a sharp series of turns. I was already suspicious why a diner would locate it at the top of a friggin' mountain for highway visibility only. Very odd product placement.
The storefront was crafted to look inviting, like some cozy outdoor patio with 20 some odd rocking chairs and garage signage that read Massey Harris Tractors and Herf Virginia Cigarettes. There were a couple of old geezers off to the side playing checkers, and others playing dominoes, who apparently had the entire day to kill. Blatant vagrancy. All I wanted was a decent, aggressive cup of joe, and maybe some toast that didn't taste like a green, hot rubber gasket.
Walking through the double doors, I was immediately thrown for a loop as there was nowhere to sit, no hostess for me to scowl at. Instead, I was stuck in some half-ass five and dime packed with scented candles, Hank Williams playing cards, and some ancient candy that gave me a cavity just looking at it. I felt a slight throb in my temples as I scanned through the store looking for someone to explain what the flippin' Joe Friday was going on.
Finally, I spotted a ponytailed pork chop in the back of the store, stocking shelves with ceramic rooster accent lamps. I pulled my badge and asked him for some ID. His name was Dave, and he only worked Tuesday mornings due to his alleged main job at the recycling center. Apparently, this Cracker Barrel place won't serve you until you've waded through 4 aisles of junk for sale. He led me through the back room to a table. Eventually, I was served by a puffy lass named Brenda, who was slightly sweaty and a tad out of breath. I made a note of it and took a picture of her plastic name badge.
I ordered coffee and a waffle. What was presented with a side of muffins, a side of pancakes, 3 biscuits, 2 sides of toast, an entire stick of butter, and extra bacon. I could tell the proprietors were looking to fatten up their customers 15 to 20% with each meal, but in the end, I left them off with a warning. Marked them as a possible disorganized crime gambit in a scheme to get more obesity disability scams. Next stop, the IKEA store. I'm Gary Shirk, police detective. Okay, let's play a song. Go ahead.
This is Fallen Angel.
Okay, let's talk about Coffee AM.
Our sponsor.
The mint coffee's gone. Yay! I don't like mint coffee. We got some by mistake.
I didn't know.
Every
that.
morning I woke up and I was like, mint coffee. So
Anyway, I think it's the only one we tried from Coffee AM. We haven't
liked, yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't matter to them. I can't stand. I don't like mint. I don't like amaretto. Don't put that in my coffee. Yeah.
I didn't mind it. It's at work with me.
I would rather a human eyeball be in it than either one of those two things, actually. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I have to look and see if they have human eyeball flavor.
Yes, exactly.
We'll see how that gels up. But anyway, Coffee AM is a wonderful company. They are out of Georgia. They offer a variety of coffees. They have some micro lots. They have some fair trade. They have even K-cups if you like. They even have tea. We get our coffee from them. So what's great about this company is they actually, when they get your order, they roast your coffee that day and vacuum seal it into bags. You can even get your name put on it. Ours is exclusively brewed for Mark and Stace. This is a Hawaiian macadamia nut coffee, which is probably going to be a much bigger hit than the mint coffee was.
Yes.
But they have flavors. They have coffees that are not flavored. They have some hard to find coffees like that Hawaiian Unan coffee.
That's really good, guys. Yeah.
So they've got really interesting stuff like a Hawaiian blend that has Hawaiian blend. They actually have a New Orleans blend that has chicory in it. So take a look. They've got pages and pages of coffee. You can get it brewed. Why do I keep saying brewed? You can get it roasted however you like. You can get it French press, drip grind, whole bean, whatever floats your boat. It gets FedEx to your door. They're absolutely delicious. They are a points program. So the more you buy, you can redeem your points for money off your next order. So Coffee AM, use our link, get over there. It will save you off your first order, which is FedExed right to you.
Nice people, full of beans.
Bean counters.
Good collector bation this week. This week we are going to talk about
Wait a minute, I have to make my hair bigger.
Loudness's 1985 record, Thunder in the East. Now, to fully understand the history of Loudness, we actually have to go all the way back to 1973 Japan and Lazy, a band formed by high school classmates that include 2 future members of Loudness, Akira Takasaki on guitar and drummer Munetaka Higuchi. Apparently, their early style was a boy band, and they didn't even write their own songs. But by the time they progressed to 1980s record Earth Arc, the band started to sound in like the hard rocking style they would become known for. Takasaki and Higuchi formed Loudness in 1981. They subsequently added bass player Masayoshi Yamashita on bass and stole vocalist Minoru Nihara from a local band called Earthshaker. The band went to work immediately in their native Japan, dropping 3 full lengths in the space of 3 years, in a style that combined the progressive guitar tendencies of Rush with the stadium rock style of Van Halen, albeit with much cooler titles and album covers. Devil Soldier, for example, that's a very badass tattoo-worthy album cover. Yeah.
By the time their 4th album, Disillusion, came around, their style had begun to crystallize with uber-tight galloping riffs and tons of guitar stunt work from Akira. The album was picked up by Music for Nations, and the band actually released a re-recorded copy in 1984 with English lyrics.
English, loosely used, yeah.
It's a shame that record isn't on Spotify, but I encourage listeners to get over to YouTube and check out at least the track Dream Fantasy to get an idea of how heavy and different the band sounded at the stage, despite Nahira's crash course in English. Somehow, through Dee Snider's management hearing about the band, they were signed to the Atco label and went right into the studio with British Svengali producer Max Norman, best known at that point for producing Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, to put together their American debut, Thunder in the East. Norman and Takasaki dial up massive guitar sound, brick wall riffs, and oodles of layered guitar.
You can tell they were looking to recreate something like the Scorpions' Blackout record, another foreign band ready to take America by storm, and they almost pulled it off, but the disconnect between the band's rock-solid musicianship and weak English held the album back from mainstream success. It only got up to number 74 on the Billboard chart. I'm not sure if Norman was the one helping with lyrics, but you've got to love whatever advice they were given because there's no love songs. Lyrics are all about the beat kicking you in the face, hell, switchblades, chains. It's great. So let's check out the leadoff single, Crazy Nights. Okay, continuing on with our discussion of loudness, you have got to understand in 1985, Japan may as well have been the moon. Okay, it was the land of Bruce Lee movies, basically. So, to be fair, the label did sink a lot of money and exposure into loudness with radio play and videos, which they should have probably spent some more on English lessons. But Atco even paired the band up with Motley Crue on the first leg of the Theater of Pain tour. So they pushed him out there, you know. My father, the most unmetal person on earth, was in attendance because I needed a ride in his golf shirt and khakis. But even he said of Akira, that guitar player is amazing. Then the crew came stumbling out, playing like Smoking in the Boys Room or something. And I remember thinking, okay, so Motley Crue kind of sucks. I got it now. So.
At any rate, such was my love for this record and the major label follow-ups, 1986's Lightning Strikes and 1987's Hurricane Eyes. It opened up a whole new world for me. I'll put together a Spotify playlist of some other amazing Japanese hard rock bands I discovered because of this band. Anthem, Bow Wow, Dead End, Stone Edge, Saber Tiger, Mazaran. A lot of it isn't on Spotify, but I can put something together.
They all have great song titles like Warning, Action, Silver Stars. The album's called Rape Noise. Yeah, so yeah, don't expect good English, but the fucking riffs and stuff are
It doesn't matter.
unbelievable. Yeah. So anyway, so this song is actually written by the bass player, music and lyrics, and it kills. The intro still gives me goosebumps. That searing lead guitar. Check this out. This is Heavy Chains. Okay, shall we introduce the interview? With one, maybe two people. Wink, wink.
We had a great chat with Johanna about Lucifer, Lucifer 5, including her numbering system. What a great gal. What some great 70s inspired music that she seems to take her own twist on and make into some awesome modern rock and roll. So check it out. I was wondering, were you out for St. Patrick's Day last week? We didn't really do anything.
It's not really a big thing in Sweden where I
Yeah.
live. Because I'm originally from Berlin, born and raised. I think some pubs and bars would use it as an excuse to get drunk, and you Irish people, I guess, would gather there. But since I live in Stockholm, I haven't really much heard of anything going on. But then again, I live out in the sticks and I don't go out that much when I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
no corned beef and cabbage.
What? What's
Yeah,
that?
that's the big thing we do here is everybody makes corned beef and cabbage for dinner.
Corned beef and cabbage. I had no idea, actually.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that's what Americans do. And
Well,
go out for-
Americans, we're looking for any excuse to go out to the bar, really. So Cinco de Mayo, it doesn't matter if you're Latin. You know, St. Patrick's Day, it doesn't matter if you're actually Irish. It's just an excuse to go get drunk. So.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyway,
All right. So back to you anyway.
yes.
So going like all the way back, like so when Oath was kind of finished, how did you go about setting Lucifer into motion and putting it together?
I still lived in Berlin, and I remember very clearly. I was recently thinking about that because it's been exactly 10 years when I sat at my desk in my old Berlin apartment, and I lived facing an old church, and I would sit by that desk very often and write lyrics or work on music for the Oath. And the Oath fell apart, and I sat at that desk again. Um, probably smoking cigarettes because I still smoked then. Uh, and it was clear that I wanted to continue with the band. And I had it all kind of penned out in my head, what I wanted it to sound like. And I was just sitting there trying to think of a band name. And I kept coming back to Lucifer because it struck me as kind of catchy, it's easy to remember. It's one word, 7 letters. 7 is my favorite number, and it will look great on t-shirts because it's not very long. You definitely see it on a festival poster because it's not like 3 words or whatever. It's like one big word. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do Lucifer. And back then, The Oath was released on Rise Above Records, and Lee Dorian and I were close back then, and he said, if you want to put together a band, how about Gaz Jennings from Cathedral, the guitar player, and really a guitar prodigy, amazing guy. And so we started working on stuff. Well, actually, there was a guy called Neta Shimoni in the beginning that I started working with as well, but that kind of fell apart right away. But there was Gaz, and Gaz and I wrote an album together, the two of us, within a very short span of time. So we released a Lucifer album, I think a year after the Oath album was released. I think so.
I was quick to join Lucifer's Fallen Angel, so I was enjoying all your pictures from remembering all that time. And,
Right.
she's got the church and everything. So that was wild. Yeah, I was reading like you were really into the number 7. What kind of, some people gravitate towards 13 or 3. What do you think it is about 7 for you?
It just keeps popping up. So I take it as a sign from the universe or something. My name is actually, it's Johanna Claudia Sedonis, and it's 777 letters, each of these names. And yeah, I'm a big Danzig fan,
Yeah.
he has a song about that, and it's supposed to be a divine number, and it's just a number. There's dates, that involves the number 7 and things that happened in my life, which I don't want to go into too much detail.
Understood. Yeah.
It just keeps popping up all the time. So it's my number.
Trivia: John Christ from Danzig went to the same university I did.
Oh, cool.
Isn't that
That's
cool? Yeah, and we even had the same jazz teacher. So yeah, crazy,
That's
huh?
really I
I
kind of
want to
want
ask
to
you.
steal his
Sorry, go
name.
ahead.
I think John Christ is such a cool name.
That is very rock and roll. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to steal that name, and because Johanna is so.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like a cool artist name, but I guess I can't get out of that anymore. It's too late to come up with a cool
Yeah.
Joan Jett name or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, Prince can change his name to a symbol. Why not?
Right.
That's true.
Exactly. Yeah. So how do you like Sweden compared to Germany? What's some of the, I guess, pluses, minuses, whatever?
Minus is that it's very often minus Celsius degrees here. So summer is very short and the days are very dark in winter. It's pretty far north. That's but I think that's kind of the only thing, the darkness and the long cold winters. Because Berlin is not exactly Southern Europe either, but it's less so than in Sweden, obviously. But I love living here because the nature is so beautiful and clean, and it kind of feels untouched. It's not so many people crammed together. I'm a big city girl. I was born and raised in Berlin, and I lived in LA for 3 years and lived a little bit in London. So I've been living in big cities, but I always had that kind of craving to be out in the sticks. And this is great. I mean, we have our house literally looking onto the sea. And, we have forest here. It's like on a little hill, and we're looking out on the sea. We have the studio here, so we don't have any reasons to ever leave the house unless we go rock and rolling or whatever on tour. And that's great. That's like the balance, and then when you've done a month of touring and that was fun, then you need to go back home into the wild where you don't see any people and you can lick your stage wounds and get your energy back.
Yeah.
We're in Baltimore, Maryland, so we kind of have your 4 seasons, like,
We do.
but
Yeah.
they're all kind of short, but it's kind of gets cold for a little bit, but then it gets way too hot. So, it's kind of in between, but I hate it when it gets dark at 5 p.m. I hate it.
I hate that too, but here it gets dark at 3 p.m.
Oh,
Oh,
my
geez.
God.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
it's crazy. So, yes, 5 p.m. That sounds more like Berlin. What do you say geographically? That it's Baltimore, I guess.
Oh, like latitude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was curious why you went with the kind of Roman numbers for the album titles instead of like coming up with titles. It's a very cool effect, but I just was curious where you came up with that.
Well, that was because the band that I had previously, The Oath, broke up after one album, and I thought if I name the album number one, which kind of implies that there will be more, and I wanted to give people that notion of that just being the beginning, and that I'm not joking.
Chapter 1, chapter 2. When we
Yeah.
get to 7, we'll have to have a big party.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, well, let's see. I like surprises, and who knows? Maybe the next album will be called Lucifer 666, or
Oh, yeah. Very dancing. Yeah.
So a lot of songs on 5 kind of seem like they're all about, death, like, Mortuary, Ride the Reaper, Dead Don't Speak, Nothing Left to Lose by My Life. So what kind of are your personal feelings about death? And do we as human beings have really weird rituals about it? And it's kind of a weird thing in our culture to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, death is a little bit shunned, right? I mean, a lot of people try to avoid thinking about it and seeing it, even though all of us will croak and everybody around us that we love will die. And I think it doesn't make it easier to try to avoid it. I'm a little bit the opposite. I've been kind of, since I realized that I'm going to die, when I was a kid or teenager, I couldn't stop looking away. It was like, really? Like the first realization of realizing that this body that I'm in is going to rot, and it's like my mind won't be there anymore, and so on, was shocking to me. And I just can't stop looking at death and trying to understand it. And also, I've lost a lot of people that I love already, and some people die too young, and it's very hard for me to grasp it that they are gone forever. And I'm just trying to come to terms through the lyrics. I just use the lyrics as a tool to kind of maybe almost romanticize death in a way that it makes it more appealable to me. I don't know. I have different feelings about it. I love death and I hate death, and it can be a great comfort to know, when you think about all your problems that one can have in life, like just like things that we all work through. But then when you remember, oh shit, I'm gonna die soon, and then all of that small stuff doesn't matter at all in relation to it. So it can be also a comforting
Perspective.
thought, put things in perspective, exactly. But I'm also very scared of death because I love living, and I think, and you know this, the older you get, the faster time slips through your fingers, and it's like, oh, holy shit, I'm 45. How did this happen? I just went yesterday to my first show and I was just 13, and I kind of feel like the same person inside, and this is way too short. I wish life was 2 times, 3 times as long, because I'm very hungry for the world and I want to
Yeah.
see more. But yeah, I'm
I've
trying
been-
to cram in as much as possible.
I wanted to ask you that. I love the album cover where you're crucified.
That's cool.
Is there a story? Like, how did that go? I mean, was it uncomfortable? Was it like, did you get like, how was
Rope
that photo
burn.
shoot?
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. I had so I designed a cross, and we have a carpenter that built our studio here at home and our kitchen.
Okay.
And I asked him to. He's a metalhead, and I asked him to make this cross life size for me. And photo shoots usually take longer than you think, and yeah, so I was hanging on the cross for quite a while, and um, but video.
Dedication.
Yeah. uh, Many laughs were had. And yeah, my hands were tied with rope, like thick rope. I had bought this like proper hemp rope, which isn't so comfortable. But anyways, anything for the art. I mean, it's never video shoots and photo shoots are never fun. They always take too long. You're either freezing, hungry, like it's too many things go. And I tend to do a lot of things myself. So when we shoot a video, I direct at the same time while I'm supposed to, I don't know, look nice or whatever, and remember the lyrics of a new song that I've never sang before. And at the same time,
Wow.
like tell the light guy, no, 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 we have to do it more. It's like too many things going on at the same time. So sometimes I wish I could clone myself. So anyways, coming back, photo shoots and videos, I dread it, but a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever do it again, I have an idea for you. They get real into decorating for Halloween around here. And one of our neighbors, because we jogged through the neighborhood, had this skeleton tied to a cross, but they had it like upside down. So maybe if you laid that way, it would be better.
Oh, that's a good idea. It probably looks better too, because gravity.
Did you ever hear the story of about Jizzy Pearl from Love Hate back in the early 90s, what he did with the crucifixion?
No.
It was the era grunge had begun to take over and his band wasn't getting good exposure. So he thought it'd be a good idea to crucify himself on the Y of the Hollywood sign.
Wow.
And he didn't realize that that's like 60 feet up and he got stuck up there and all of his band members left him and went off to get high. It's hysterical. Yeah.
That's horrible. Yeah, I've hiked up to the Hollywood sign and it is very
Yeah.
high.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
he didn't get the right attention that he wanted, apparently.
And or possibly arrested, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hysterical. Yeah. Anyway.
So where do you get the biggest inspiration for lyrics? Is it literature, cinema, real life? Where is your muse?
I think the biggest inspiration is real life. Absolutely. Because those things stir your feelings the most, the losses and tragedies of life, that the stuff that, really gets you like really deeply sad and or angry or whatever, yeah.
It's tough. We just lost a cat. And
Oh,
I'm
that's
at work trying not to cry. And you feel so dumb because if you tell people my cat died, they're like,
Oh, I understand it. I used to have a lot of cats and now I have a dog. So my life would be shattered if my dog would die. My dog is I don't know, my little guardian angel, my spirit animal, my savior who comforts me, and by just doing something silly or stupid. Yeah, no, I totally get it. I'm very sorry for your loss.
what kind of doggy do you have?
She's a mix. She's a mutt. So she was found as a small child. I was going to say, as a, what do you call that in English? Anyways, she was a baby and was found in a Romanian forest with two siblings. And a shelter kept checking if the mother would come back, but she didn't. So they took her in and, spayed her, fixed her up. And through a Swedish rescue organization, I picked her through photo. And she's really small. She's 6 kilos. I mean, it's like this. And she looks like a little vampire. She's black, with big
Oh, cool.
ears. Her name is Elvira because,
Oh, that's a cool name. Yeah.
she has the raven black hair, but then she has like a white cleavage and white paws like Elvira.
Great.
And yeah, no, it was the greatest decision I've ever made to rescue that dog.
I wanted to tell you, I go way back with the helicopters and with Nick's output. And I actually interviewed Nick around 2006 when he came to Baltimore with the helicopters. So when I listen to Lucifer, I can tell very clearly the songs that he has either written or written most of, just because it's got that MC5 Thin Lizzy vibe about it, Do
Mhm.
you ever have a situation where you're like, you tell him it's two helicopters, it's not Lucifer enough? Like,
No, we write everything together, and some
okay,
songs lately have been written together with Linus, our guitar player. On this album,
okay,
we had songs. The thing is, we love the same type of stuff, and that's why the helicopter sound as they sound, and you hear the influences shining through, and yeah, I think if something would sound too much like helicopters, he would take it for the helicopters. But we agree pretty much. So I wouldn't, sit down and work on a vocal melody and write lyrics for a song if I wouldn't think it would be Lucifer material.
right. Got it.
So yeah. But and even if that happens, I mean, of course, if people play in several bands, you will sometimes have that kind of overlaying where you hear the chemistry of that person.
Yeah.
And that's totally okay. That's great. I love the helicopters.
Oh, yeah.
So I know what it is to work with your husband. Do you guys have a rule, like you only talk shop during certain hours, or is it just a constant whenever thing?
No, we don't have certain hours. I think we are too involved in too many things all over the place. So we could basically work at night, just like after having dinner and Netflixing. All of a sudden we have an idea, and it's like, oh shit, we have to do a poster for that tour. Let's quickly, and then we
Yeah.
sit next to each other with our laptops and talk about that. Or somebody looks at their phone and sees something, and then we talk. So there's no, I think it would be very difficult to say, no, now it's not our office hours.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do you guys do that?
It's kind of all the time for us. But
Yeah.
once in a while, we've done so much with the show that I'll like have to put together IKEA furniture or something to get my mind off it. You know what I mean? Like something completely not related,
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
reset.
yeah. I mean, we do that too. Totally. You need
Yeah.
We love doing stuff with our hands. I mean, he was just sitting. I was in the studio recording vocals for something I can't talk about, but sitting in the living room and putting studs onto a black denim jacket for a video show. It's like,
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
going to the garden and doing stuff. He fixes his guitars. So we love doing stuff with our hands. I'm a fixer-upper in the house. I do a lot of garden work, and I love painting and repairing things. And I think to work with your hands is like, it's kind of like meditation. It takes you away from from inside
Right.
of your head. Yeah.
Do you like cooking? Because that's like a creative outlet for me, like just to get in there with your hands and make something.
To an extent, I don't have so much time, but I'm the problem here at home is that we have very different diets. So Nico eats like a child. If he could, he would eat meat and potatoes every day. I try to eat as little meat as possible. I'm actually trying to be mostly plant-based. I eat eggs. I try to be really healthy, a lot of greens, a lot of vegetables, which he doesn't like. You know, he doesn't like mushrooms. And then, you know, I like fish and he doesn't like that. So it's super difficult and it's not so fun to cook for yourself every
Right.
day. So, yeah, it's the cooking drama here at home. But we find, you know, the middle grounds too.
Middle ground. Yeah.
I have
Yesterday,
a good idea for you. I got him to eat kale by hiding it in mashed potatoes. Then he eats it.
yeah, I actually got Nick into making green smoothies because I'm like, you have to, your body needs vitamins. You
Yeah.
have a deficit of vitamins and you have to pick one way or another to get that stuff into you. So now he makes, not every day, but he tries to, he makes smoothies in the morning where you have like banana, kale, you know, a bunch of green stuff in there.
Right. Right.
And that we both have. And then I'm like, okay, now you're good. Yesterday, actually, he was we had a little bit of a discussion about this. And he's like, what do you want for dinner? You know, the usual question between two married people. And I'm like, you know what? I was a bit cranky. I don't think we'll find a middle ground here because you want to cook something that I don't want. I don't want to eat pasta or like I don't like processed stuff so much.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, okay. And then he came up with making a potato leek soup, and it was great. So we had that, and
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's 40%. It's okay.
So I love the album cover for Five. You kind of almost look like you're vampires about to come out of the coffin. What was the kind of inspiration for that?
I think there's a Grand Funk Railroad album cover where they're all in coffins. Well, the idea was actually this old coffin. It's an old transport coffin that's over 100 years old. And I borrowed it from a friend. And the idea was to have all of us. Have you seen the inside of the vinyl? Because it's a gatefold album. Have you seen that the photo with the other guys?
Yeah.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to be, we were all supposed to be on the front cover next to each other in the coffin.
Okay.
That was my idea because first I thought, how about, because the last few album covers were, okay, so let me go back to this. I tried to always do something very different with the album cover. And the last one was me on a cross. So I said, okay, this time it should be the whole band and should be a cool black and white photo, maybe where you kind of see like half a shadow over the face and you see the faces like in a on a 1960s record cover, you know, like Queen or Danzig did that on one album. And somehow Nick and also or A&R at Nuclear Blast were like, they didn't sound so like excited about this idea, but I thought, you know, classic, simple sometimes is so striking that actually works best. But okay, so I rethought, and then I came up with the idea of putting everybody in the coffin next to each other. I wanted the whole band to be there. So then we took the coffin photos, and Mika sat down with Photoshop, and we've been trying to arrange the coffins, and I toyed around with it too, and it was just impossible. You know, you have a square cover with a black background to line it up so it doesn't look too small. And it's a huge ass coffin, and it's 5 people, so you won't see much, especially when you go onto a streaming platform like Spotify and the album cover is this
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
Then you see nobody anymore,
Yeah.
you know. And then Nick yelled over from the other room, I think it should just be you on the cover. And I'm like, oh no, they're gonna think it's like the, you know, the ego thing. She's putting herself on the cover, you know, where's the rest of the band? And I'm like, oh fuck. And then I looked at it and it looked actually pretty cool because the idea originally was also that everybody has their eyes closed and I have my eyes open.
Ah,
And he put this picture in the center. And then I was like, okay, that looks, I mean, even not because it's me, it could have been anyone. But it looks pretty cool when it's this big on a cover. And I'm like, okay, but you have to tell the guys that they're not going to be in the album cover. So then we did the gatefold, you know, with the rest of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. It reminds me of one of those old West lineups where they used to line people up in the coffins on display when they were.
Yes. Yeah, and coming back to that, back in the day, they had a little bit more of an easygoing, natural relationship towards the deceased ones. Because nowadays, nobody brings home their dad to have them lying around there for weeks for
Oh.
everyone
Right.
to say goodbye. They get, sent off to the crematory, and then, or, in America, they pump them full of chemicals, and do the whole
Put a lot of
embalming.
makeup.
Yes, lots of makeup so they look as alive as possible. And yeah, it's like a weird so people are kind of grossed out by corpses because they never see them, even though it's such a huge part of our lives.
I remember my grandmother passed. My son was really little and he couldn't get over that we were talking. And he was like, Nana is sleeping. Like we were all being rude for talking. Oh, great. I got to explain
Oh, it's
this
at the
to him.
funeral, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
But I think, kids are a lot less mortified by things that grown-ups are mortified or creeped out by. I think if you talk normal to a child without having like this overreaction, and you ask him, do you want to come to the funeral? Okay. And then you say, she's dead, she has passed on. If you treat it as normal as possible, I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think corpses are cool.
Yeah. There's a great series. I don't know if you ever saw it. It was on HBO years ago called 6 Feet Under. And it's all about this family that
Are you
runs a.
kidding me? I have the box set, and
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Me too.
that's the only series I watched like in its entirety, like several times. I really, really love it.
When I was watching it, I got really paranoid that I was going to die. Like I was really careful driving. I was really chewing my food really closely because the way that people die in the show in the beginning,
Yes,
for
you
the
didn't want
dumbest
to
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, change your tire, be careful. Like
Well, that's the thing, when death comes knocking, you
right.
can't
There's nowhere to go. Yeah,
you can chew as careful as you like, and then something else happens.
exactly.
So we had a lot of favorite tracks on this album. At the Mortuary was great. It's so doomy and downturned. How did you kind of get those ghostly vocals layered and kind of creating that eerie opening?
Yes, so that's a song that's actually my favorite Lucifer song that we've ever done, and it was not supposed to be on the album.
Oh.
Nick put some parts together, and I sat down with it, and I did vocals for everything and made a demo, and then I sent it to everybody in the band, and nobody had a reaction. And everybody was kind of like, Nick and Linus, our guitar player, they're both like, yeah, I don't know, this doesn't sound like an album song. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. This is our best song. This is gonna be a single, actually. And yeah, so we discussed, Nick and I, and he finally agreed to work on the song with me in a way that not compromise, but in a way that because he kind of said the way the song is structured, it should not be on the album. And I said, okay, we can restructure it, but I think the parts are great. And yeah, so we worked on it, and then it came out and it became a single and a video. And the thing is also, because you asked how it is if we like disagree with stuff, I am the boss in the end. So Nika gets to be the boss of the helicopters, of
Right.
so many other things, but Lucifer is my band. So if I want something, no, but I have a very clear vision, and we have that agreement. I mean, it's never about ego or anything, but if one of us really believes in something, the other one will be supportive of it. Like if we both think, you should sing a line that goes more like this, and then I say, but no, I want, then we will just basically do what we think is the greater good for the song, and we won't fight about it or anything.
Right.
And yeah, I think I'm really glad that we rearranged it so that it that it is on the album, because I really love the song. I love playing it live too. And it seems like because now we've done one tour where we played all the new singles from the last album, and it seems like people really like it too when we play it. You can sense the sparks.
Yeah.
I liked the video too, where you're running around in the trench coat with the dark wig and
Oh,
kind
you're
of
right. Damn.
reminded me of Scully from when they did the X-Files, you know, the way you're all wrapped up
Yeah.
running
Ah,
around. But
I never thought about it like that. Yes.
I actually watched it backwards because I watched Slow Dance in a Crypt first, and then after I was like, but you don't see where the zombie comes from. Then I watched that. I'm like, oh, I got it now.
Yes.
What kind of made you link those two together for the videos?
Well, I did the same when we had the previous album. We had Bring Me His Head and Crucifix, and they were linked together because the end of Bring Me His Head leads to the next video, kind of, and I like that. And
The whole Carrie thing. I love it.
Yeah.
yes, you got to have some references, and I definitely try to put some references into the videos. But it was also a practical thing with the two at the mortuary and Slow Dance in a Crypt, because first of all, a band like us nowadays doesn't get a lot of money from the label thrown at to make videos and big productions like they did back in the 90s or whatever. So you have to kind of deal with like small budgets. And I thought, okay, this is going to be the best thing I can do is like come up with a really cool story that, you know, part 1 and part 2, and we get to film all of it kind of on the same days, because yeah, it's almost impossible with the type of budget that a band like Lucifer gets to make something cool that is creative, but doesn't look completely like a joke, because the budget is low and crew is expensive, you know. So, but of course, I mean, the financial stuff, that's always not the number one reason for anything, you know. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in a band. I mean,
Yeah.
to be in a band is pretty financially masochistic, to be honest.
Who was the zombie and who did the makeup?
The zombie was orphaned Erik Tyrant. He's from a band called Niflheim, and he now has also a biker rock band called Crank. And yeah, he's amazing. I asked him, hey, would you like to be a, or not would you like to, but would you be a zombie in a Lucifer video? And he said yes right away. He somehow, I've seen him play live several times with his bands, and he just has that type of stage persona where you know he's going to be perfect for that job, and he was. So we kind of started doing the makeup together. I got all kinds of stuff out for him. I even burned a whole fireplace full of wood to have a jar full of ashes to pour all over him. I got him a suit that was a few sizes too big, because that will make you look really rugged, like you really come out of your coffin, because I'm imagining somebody is in their coffin for, I don't know, a few months. Their body kind of shrinks, you know, because of all the water getting out of the body. So I thought, you know, with an oversized suit, he'll look really kind of like slumped into that. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, I had to laugh my ass off all the time when I was running from him on the cemetery, and we had a ball doing this. It was a very hot summer day, and there's this really great, huge cemetery in Stockholm, and it's kind of like a forest cemetery. It's very drawn out, and it's very beautiful. And yeah, so running around in, you know, heel shoes with a trench coat from the zombie, and getting to drive this old timer car, which belongs to the drummer of the Helicopters, Robert, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he lent that. So yeah.
It was
Now, how far do you live in Stockholm, or you're outside of Stockholm?
Well, we are a little bit outside of Stockholm, but since Stockholm is literally a village, it's really small. I think it's one of the smallest capitals. For somebody who's from Berlin and lived in LA, it's
Yeah.
like a small town almost. So we live 20 minutes outside of Stockholm, which like a big city, like in America, 20 minutes is like nothing. That's you go from one Walmart to the next in 20 minutes. But here
Yeah.
it means we are out by the sea in the forest, but we can still take an Uber to the next rock bar in the center.
Yeah. Yeah, I've asked this before. What's it like? I mean, it seems to me like Stockholm is so small, but there's so many rock stars. I mean, is it just like, you go down the street and there's Mickey D on one corner and then there's Dragon on another corner. I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
You're just pretty
Yeah.
much bumping into rock icons everywhere you go. Is that the way it is? Or
Yeah, kind of. It
it's
kind
like
of
the
is.
whiskey in LA. Yeah. So,
Yeah, like that. Yeah, yeah. So when you go out and you go to the rock bars, you will meet people, absolutely, and everybody
so
knows
cool.
each other too. Yeah.
Do this at some point. Yes. Yeah.
So I have to say, another favorite track that I love was Riding Reaper with those great guitar harmonies. Who was the architect of putting those perfect sounds together?
Riding Reaper, the music was written by Linus, our guitar player, Linus Björklund, and then I added vocal to it, and the lyrics.
Yeah, my other favorite track I think was Immaculate Heart. I really think that was clever that you used immaculate because most people you always hear immaculate.
Yeah, you don't hear the word immaculate very often.
So that was very clever. And I love the lyrics. Swarms of locusts, sinners and hordes of devout, made up purgatories, I am in doubt. It's kind of like
Dark
kind
poetry.
of doubting religion in a way. Is that kind of the right take?
That is actually funny because that's the only Lucifer lyric that I didn't write in the whole discography of Lucifer. That's the only one, because
Okay.
I used to pride myself and I write all the lyrics, not until Immaculate Heart came. The only thing that I have to do with the writing of Immaculate Heart is the title. Because so Nico wrote the song and then he kind of had an idea for the vocals, and usually I do my own vocal melodies, but this one he came with a full song, and I'm like, you know what? I like your lyrics, and I want to keep them. I don't want to put my lyrics there because they are good. They're really good, but I don't like the song title "Bring It On" because that sounds like not like Lucifer would do. That's too obvious to name it "Bring It On" because that's what I'm singing. So how about Immaculate Heart? And he's like, Immaculate Heart? What? That's not in the lyrics. I'm like, yeah, exactly. But isn't that cool? And
Yeah.
and then yeah, or or A&R at Nuclear Blast was like, no, but you should name it "Bring It On" because that's what people will remember from the lyrics when they maybe hear it like on the radio or something. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna name it Immaculate Heart. So that's the only thing that I have to do with the song. So yeah, Nico
Okay.
wrote those lyrics. Mhm.
Yeah, I like it.
I think
especially like at the beginning, it almost sounds like a harpsichord, like or an organ. It's very gothic.
Yeah.
Was it hard when you came to a radio edit about what to cut out? Because it's such a great song, and I wouldn't know where to cut out.
yeah, I wouldn't have wanted to cut that out, but the record company got their way. They usually, don't get to decide anything. I mean, they also trust us a lot with our artistic vision or whatever. But like with a song title, for example, I will do what I want to do in the end. And they let us, which is cool. But yes, they wanted an edit, and so we had to just cut off the beginning of the song, and that is because according to the statistics, people have such a short attention span that
Yeah.
an intro like this will give a wrong first impression of a song. So okay,
I see. I
fine.
don't know if I agree with that. Like every time I hear on the radio when they play Sweet Emotion and they cut out that bass in the beginning, I'm like,
Right?
and
It's-
that's the exact
yeah,
same thing. Someone at the record company said, no, you got to cut that bass out in the beginning. And that's just
yeah.
wrong, So,
I think it's wrong, and it sucks, but I guess the musicians that say yes to those kind of decisions, they are in great fear of having to return to some sort of normal job. So
Yeah. That's a very good point. Yes. It's either we cut out 9 seconds or you go back to sweeping floors. How about that? And you're like,
that
oh, okay. Yeah,
nobody
9 seconds. Yeah.
We
Uh,
we also really love The Coffin Has No Silver Lining. I like that that's very clever as well. And then the video where did you find those like vintage trains? And was that like a 35
oh, yeah,
millimeter?
that's
That
real.
was
That was
wild.
really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we used what kind of camera was that? I don't remember, but yeah, the trains are here in Stockholm actually,
Ah,
and we know some people who have like a pinball machine collection in a room that they used to do like private parties, and that's where we shot the pinball action in the video. Yeah, but everything is kind of usually somehow around, budget doesn't include flying anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, that's
that's
great.
another really, really good song.
Yeah.
Just lots of varying tempos and
Thank you. Yeah, I think the inspiration for that was Judas Priest with the opening with kind of, yeah. And the lyrics, yeah, that's a personal story. It's somebody that's very close to me who has a big drug problem. And that's why I named the song A Coffin Has No Silver Lining as a warning to them.
Yeah.
sometimes your delivery almost seems like a female Aussie type, the way you draw stuff out. It's really, really good.
Wow, thank you. Well, I'm a huge Aussie fan. What can I say? Thank you.
Hopefully you'll be in the business for 1,000 years like Ozzy,
Yeah, I wish.
He
Yeah.
never
Well,
seems to retire,
yeah, and he's taken so much drugs and treated his body so crappy, and he's still there. So yeah,
I think money helps that,
it probably does. Yeah, I mean, not that I would know, right?
Right. But I think he's sort of a study that you can pollute your body as long as you have money and live forever, So,
Well, I would like to test that. So somebody send me a bunch of money.
exactly. Let's get some callers. Yeah. So,
All right,
Fuck
so
fuck the
we
green
play a game on the show. It's 5 random questions with Stace. That's me. So I have 100 questions in front of me. I want you to pick 5 numbers that will correspond to 5 questions. So any 5 numbers from 1 to 100.
Okay, 1, 7, 13, 99 and 79.
Number 1, what is the worst vacation you ever had?
Okay. All right. I'm very sorry, Nika, but
oh, this is going to be really good.
he wanted to surprise me with a vacation because we never have time to go on vacation. We're married. We've never went on a honeymoon because when we go away, we go on tour and then we're just glad to be home. So somehow we never managed to. And so he booked a vacation, and unfortunately he's not so good or like so experienced at booking a vacation. So he booked we went to an island, Fuerteventura, which is east of Africa, and he had booked this all-inclusive hotel where there was only old cranky Germans staying there, old people. And as soon as we arrived there, we realized that we were stuck on this island, like this
Oh,
super
wow.
touristy island with all these old Germans. And because, I would probably book some boutique hotel or an Airbnb somewhere, something romantic, where there's not so many people, and kind of make your own trip, like decide what you want to do instead of being in one of these like giant hotel complexes. Well, that's where we were, but we made the best of it. And it wasn't the worst vacation I ever had because it was with Nika, so it was wonderful, and we were still by the beach. But I think for that money, we could have gone somewhere a little bit more age appropriate. But
Lots of
anyways,
polka. Yeah, we had booked the Airbnb. It was our first one. And we went away to like this beachside resort. But what we didn't get was that rental, the lady was there. Like our first night, we wanted to go out and see some bars. So we kind of stayed out late. 10 o'clock in the morning, she's banging on our door. We're still asleep to move his car because she wants to go kayaking.
It was like a vacation with your mom.
And then when we got back the second night, we sat down, we're like, is there anywhere we could sit and, maybe kind of outside? And she showed us and then she joined us and we were like,
It was weird.
That's horrible. Okay. Yeah,
Owner did not leave. Should have been.
okay.
Our
I think the
review.
problem is there's people in the world that don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
And they really need other people around them. And that's probably why she rents out while she's there. So
Yeah,
she has
probably.
company. And Nick and I, we're like the opposite. We're like, we just want to be alone. We're a bunch of
Yeah.
hermits.
that's kind of us as well. So it was kind of
Yeah.
awkward. We're like, well, you're here. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go with
We
it.
didn't plan on that. Yeah.
Number 7. What is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
I brush my teeth and make coffee.
I think we're
Same here.
very similar on that point.
Yeah.
All right. Number 13. What is the worst job you ever had?
I've had many jobs and many different types of jobs, office jobs, jobs in clubs, organizing shows. I worked even for the German film industry in LA. The worst job, yeah, I think might have been working in the German film production office in LA because people were so fucking neurotic and talked down to me.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not so nice. But then again, I think my first job really sucked too. I was selling vegetables and fruit.
Was this in Germany or was this?
Yeah, I was like 14, 15. It was like a summer job.
Oh, wow.
Selling vegetable and fruit at a fruit stand in a neighborhood where old rich ladies with giant gold rings would come
Oh, yeah.
and buy their fruits.
Yeah.
Harass you and squeeze your melons, right?
Yeah.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
49. Are clowns creepy?
Wait, 49? I had 79.
79. I can't even read my handwriting. All right, 79. What does the word okay mean to you?
Okay can be passive aggressive, I guess. Okay can have many meanings. In an ideal world, in my ideal world, because I'm very German also, people are direct. I like when people are straight and there's no bullshit and you know what you're gonna get. I like that. So if somebody says okay to me, then it better be okay.
It's all in the inflection, right? It could be okay or okay
Right.
or okay.
That's going to be we'll make that the banner for the show. If someone says okay to me, it better be okay. Joanna.
All right, and I'm sorry. Then you said 99.
Yes.
How would your parents describe your personality?
Yeah, it's difficult. I don't know how well my parents actually know me as a grown-up because parents often project something on you that you may have been as a child or something. I sometimes feel like also I think we tend to maybe behave a little bit different towards our parents. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, true.
But they would probably say that I'm very emotional and I think my parents are a little bit surprised often because as a kid I used to be like very very fragile and shy, and obviously now it's like the opposite. I'm still shy inside, so I don't think my parents would be have actually no idea. I'm gonna ask my mom next time I see her.
I tell you, I hid my tattoos from my mom for so long because I have like 2 big ones on my thighs. And if we were driving by and I was in shorts, I'm like, oh my God, we can't go over there right now. I gotta go put pants on. But at some point or another, she noticed them and I was like, sorry.
Speaking of Germany, I took a lot of German classes when I was in college, and we got pretty high up there. I'm really rusty now, but in upper level German, we had to read Im Westen nicht Neues, All Quiet on the Western Front in German, and you couldn't ask any questions in English. Everything had to be German,
Okay.
German, German all the time, right?
Yeah.
The word Zug means soldier, but I thought it meant train. So I was so
No,
confused.
I'm very confused because Zug means train.
Right. Well,
Soldier,
there's in that,
soldat.
yeah, I know, but in that book, they use the word Zug to refer to something in the military, some kind of, and I kept looking it up and thinking, are they soldiers or are they conductors? I'm so confused. Like there's no trains in this book. So when finally he told me that they meant soldier, the book it all made sense. One word made such a difference. But anyway, yeah, that was the way it was when you couldn't ask any questions in English. You just kind of, I was, yeah. And I didn't live in Germany or anything, so I really had to just use vocabulary lists and books and
It's
stuff.
hard to learn a language when you're not actually using it.
The adjective endings alone are murder for an American. They really are. If you don't speak it all the time,
It's so complicated, the grammar.
it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A
He was-
nightmare.
He was funny, I'd watched the show Dark on Netflix and I like watching it in the original language and just reading the subtitles because I feel like the acting comes through. And then it started coming back to
Yeah, I started to not need the subtitles. It was great. Yeah.
Now
so,
I remember Dark too. Yeah.
that was
it's
another
really
good one.
Yeah.
Very dark. Very good. So you just finished your Satanic Panic tour of Europe. What were your standout memories of that for you?
Definitely playing some shows with Angel Witch. I'm a big Angel
Wow.
Witch fan.
You met Kevin Hayborn?
Oh yes, we
Yeah,
did
that's great.
warm-ups together. It was very
Oh,
funny.
that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
He's great. I would think this is the best new wave of British heavy metal band. I love them. And what else was great about it? It was great to play the new songs from the new album live because when we did our US tour in November, the album wasn't out yet. So we only played A Coffin Has No Silver Lining on that tour from the new album. So it was a lot of fun to play the new material. We had a coffin. I brought my coffin along on stage and I sang to the coffin. I did the slow
Wow.
dance equipped with my imaginary dead, deceased boyfriend. And yeah, it was very morbid and very fun.
It's very Bauhaus,
I love it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should look at. You mean they in there? Because I don't think I've ever seen Bauhaus live videos. Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
It's just their lyrical themes were always like Bela Lugosi's dead and
Oh, that of course, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, no, Satanic Panic reminded me of Sabrina because they had an episode where this band came back from the dead and they were Satanic Panic.
I remember that.
Ah, that was their name. That's funny. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Sabrina. It's a Netflix. That's a
No.
pretty good series too.
I know Sabrina, but I didn't see the whole thing. I watched a little bit there, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I think that was near the end.
that's funny.
So I love that your uniform on stage is kind of like all black. And I love your pantsuit. Where the heck do you get those? I would be interested.
My stage clothes are all custom made for me. I
Ah.
design them. So I design
Wow.
them and I have a really good friend who sews that stuff for me. So yeah, for the last tour, right now I'm into baby doll dresses that look like priest gowns, with a white collar and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dee Snider's wife designed stage clothes for bands. And in like 1982 or something, the band Crocus asked her to make them some, and they
Yeah.
didn't like them. And Dee Snider is still mad about it
At
50
Crocus.
years later.
It's really funny. Her name is Suzanne or something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, if he's on a festival with Crocus, he still tries to get him kicked off and stuff. I mean, just never got over it. Isn't that funny?
But so they hired her and then
Yeah, they didn't like this clothes she designed, and they like
yeah.
burned him on stage or something. Yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
gonna ask him about it if I have a meeting.
You
Yeah.
bump into Mark Storaci, yeah, yeah.
So what's coming next on tap for you guys? Maybe coming back over this way, or
Yeah, it's very difficult when you're from Europe to tour the US because the visa situation. So we had visas that were valid for 3 years and now they ended, and we would have to go through the whole procedure, which is very difficult and expensive. And so we can't tour the US so often. We definitely won't be able to come back to the US this year. So we just announced the Satanic Panic tour in Latin America, which we'll do
oh
this
wow,
year in October. So we go to Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Brazil. And maybe we go to the UK. We will definitely do another European run just because now the tour was 1 month, but you only get to do so many cities and countries. So we have a lot more that we need to cover because we haven't been really touring during the pandemic. So we have, a lot to catch up. We haven't really toured the 2 previous albums before that either because of the pandemic. So yeah, we have to what do you call that? You have to do like a lot of miles, to
Yeah.
make up for it. But and we're going back to Japan this year as well, which has been some years. So I'm hoping we come back to the US next year.
so this isn't your first foray into Mexico and Latin America. What are the fans there like?
They're crazy, absolutely insane. I love them. They're very passionate, um, it can get a little bit scary if they get a little bit too like, you know, touchy, but you have that anywhere in the world anyways. That some people are a little bit. I actually had somebody on the European tour that waited outside the venue, the back door of the venue after the show, and it was already like 12 at night and everybody was long gone, but somehow he wanted to meet me.
Oh
And
no.
I was just in the shower after the show, and I just wanted to run from the venue, the back door to our bus to sleep.
Right.
But this guy was standing by the entrance and refused to go away. And I didn't, I mean, I'm literally in my pajamas. I just came out of the shower. I'm completely exhausted. I'm in my pajamas. This guy is outside, wants to meet me and wants a photo, which I
Oh,
don't.
geez.
We do that a lot, but sometimes there's a situation where I don't think it's wrong to say no sometimes,
Yeah.
No.
It's like a situation like that, he could have done that maybe when we got to the venue,
Yeah,
early
yeah.
in the day or something. But somehow he was yeah, the security wouldn't get rid of him. He would just
God.
basically, they had to kind of like shield me. So I'm like running. I'm like, sorry, I'm in my pajamas. I just want to go to bed with all my bags, And then he yelled at me, I will never buy any album of you again. Like
God.
kind of like, fuck you, like
Yeah.
Wow.
insulting me. I'm like, I will never go to your show again. Like, what a horrible person I am, kind of.
Oh,
And
jeez.
that's, I mean, I get it, that people, but they don't understand that one is not like public property, and
Yeah.
everybody can have a moment where they don't want to see anybody. And if you're like a month on the road, you not all the time are ready to meet somebody, especially not when you're by nature kind of a hermit like I am.
Yeah.
We do sign a lot of stuff for people, and we like meeting the people that come to our shows and to get our albums. I mean, of course we appreciate them, but everyone has a moment. I had this one time on a US tour. It was in 2016, and we were playing in Atlanta. And I had an asshole boyfriend back then who visited me at the show and flew all the way from Europe to come to the show and make me miserable. And
Oh, jeez.
after the show, everybody was like having drinks backstage, and I was so heartbroken about his behavior. He was like a total narcissist. Um, I just packed my things and went to the curb and called myself a taxi and was sitting on the curb with all my stuff crying. And this fan comes up and hey Johanna, can we take a photo? And I
Oh my
said, I was
God.
just literally just bawling, right?
Oh,
And like,
jeez.
I'm really sorry. I don't feel so good right now.
Yeah.
Are you sure we can take a photo? I'm like,
Oh,
yes,
jeez.
right now is not such a good moment. But you know that anybody can have like a shit moment in their life. That's why
Yeah.
when I read like stuff online, sometimes when people are like, oh, I met so and so and he's such an asshole, you know,
Yeah.
never know what kind of situation you meet somebody in.
Yeah.
And there's the
Right?
thing about reading the room. You know, if you're bawling, it obviously it's not a good time to maybe go up to you at that
Yeah,
moment.
we're kind of almost the opposite. Like we will know a band because we interviewed them like this, and then we'll go to the show, and we tend to hold back. We're like, he's busy. He's selling merch. He's doing whatever. He seems like he's fine. And then the person will come up to us and say, "Mark, Stace, aren't you going to say hi?" So you never know. And we're like antisocial. Like, well, you seemed like you were busy. Sorry. So you can't
Yeah,
get it
it's
right.
funny. Yeah. Like, well, I guess it's a social thing. Some people have maybe not as fine-tuned antennas as other people,
Yeah,
as you know from life.
exactly. Well, one final thing I wanted to ask you, if you could ask Nick for me.
Hello, they would like to know what your favorite Thin Lizzy album is, and I can't get up. I'm wearing new pants.
Hello. How are
Hi.
you guys?
Hey, I interviewed you with the Helicopters back in around 2006, and I asked you what your favorite Thin Lizzy album was, and you said Chinatown. And
Yeah.
I walked around in a daze because to me that was always like I was like not Thunder and Lightning, not Bad Reputation, not Jailbreak. Wow, is it still Chinatown?
I think so because I was kind of late into, I don't know if I said that in 2006, but I I always thought, nah, I don't like Thin Lizzy because I only heard Boys Are Back in Town
Okay,
and
right.
one, yeah, one of the two hits.
Yeah.
And
Right,
then,
one of the two hits. Yeah.
and then people started saying that we sounded a little bit like Thin Lizzy, and then I thought, okay, I better check it out. But yeah, and then I realized I do like it. But Chinatown was and still is my favorite album because I don't know, it just has some really good songs on it. And
Was
I
it?
mean, there's no immediate hits on it, I guess, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know the hits, you know. It's got Genocide on it and
The song Chinatown's good. Yeah.
on the Lewis and the Hey You, and yeah, no, I just like it. I think I like the guitar player they had there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Snowy White. Yeah, I have a friend that's Irish, and he got into Thin Lizzy really late because everyone was telling him how great they were, and he was like, local band, bleh," So
Yeah.
I guess it's almost the same thing. So
So still my favorite.
okay,
All right, that clears that up.
that clears it up. Great.
Yep.
Well,
He
thank
loves
you.
all of them, really.
Yeah, we talk about them all the time. So yeah. Well, thank you both, and thank you for your late appearance, Nick. I appreciate it.
Falling on deaf ears.
Okay, so Deaf Ears 1 is Lesbian Bed Death's new record, Midnight Lust.
How in the world, with a name like this, did we not at least take a curious, cursory listen to these guys out of Stoke-on-Trent, UK?
We suck. We're ashamed.
We managed to sleep on this one as the band prolifically put out 9 full-lengths since
Nine.
2005.
We missed all 9.
Well, the 9th one we got.
Mhm.
I immediately needed to know more, so I Googled the origin of the name. It wasn't as sexy as I had figured. It seems to be a theory where 2 women in a committed relationship have less sex per year than other types of male-female combinations.
I used to be a card-carrying member of Sex for Individuals. Very lonely. Anyway. So.
Decided just to pretend I didn't read that and go back to figuring it was some kind of crazy scissoring Final Destination thing, which seems to fit this band's vibe better. The band is the creation of Dan Peach, who readily admits that he just heard the term as a kid and thought that someday it would be a great name for a band. Peach, along with producer and session guitarist synth player Steve Lethal, great name, have been writing these gothy songs that fall in the vein of Howlstorm meets Motorhead with a dash of Motley Crue. The proper sawdust on the bar floor, just hard enough rock that your mom tells you to turn it down. A new addition on this album is vocalist J.J. Connor, who brings her red-haired, bright lipstick spunk to these gothic and horror movie-themed tracks.
My mom used to tell me to turn it down. You know what she says now? I prayed to God that Trump wins.
God.
Sorry. Anyway.
Yep, you heard that right. A ginger who has a proclivity for wearing baby doll style goth dresses. She even has 2 songwriting credits. The appropriate number for this brand, Midnight Lust, boasts 13 morbid songs that span between the 3 and 4 minute range and give you 50 minutes of corn syrup movie blood dripping rock and roll fun.
The album kicks off with Maria that starts with a thunderstorm to set the mood before jangly, echoey guitar reminiscent of The Cult gives way to a rock and roll groove. Connor's vocals are full and melodic with that smokes a pack a day huskiness at the edges. The guitar of Peach gets super crunchy as the track gears up. During the breakdown, you can really feel the deep bass groove plucked by Liesl Heath. Roadkill is another feel-good anthem for, I suppose, apex predators out there. With more hooks than a rustic farmhouse, the guitar goes warp speed as Amy Violet subjects her kit to undeviating pounds and rolls. Rhythm of the Kill starts with a chanty invocation and is an all-out chugfest with particularly meaty drums and another soaring guitar solo from Peach. LBD are sure to include a variety of all things dark and bloody. Just take a dip into Connor's croony chants in the chorus of Satanic Suicide Sex Cult. As the music pulses out under, you'll be ready to join up. I mean, when in Rome, right?
Ballads are not overlooked here. Just take a listen to the slow burner with a title that reminds me of a Meatloaf-style, real-life relationship song, Your Love Makes Everything Worse.
I could do anything for tacos.
In another mid-paced track, She Loves Lilith, Connor has a way of making the teeter-totter chorus melody both horror show horrific and infectious, as the gang chorus mirrors her lead. The music is never short on minor chords and melodic guitar riffs that spill out in spades. There are many breakout solos. I especially like the one Peach jams out to in The Mummy's Tomb, that also features a harpsichord breakdown and cleverly rhymes sarcophagus and mummified sorceress.
Just like Hamlet, what a genius.
How about a song about a real-life haunted hotel? Yep, it's here as Violet pounds us into the horrors of the Crown Hotel. What's not to like here?
If you play this for friends, they're bound to say, hey, that's really good. What band is that? And then you can smile and say, Lesbian Bed Death. This song is Satanic Suicide Sex Cult.
This is Deaf Ears 2, Black Crows with Happiness Bastards, a band that got it from the very beginning. The Robinson brothers, along with various assemblages of their magic band, were responsible for a handful of confoundingly impressive blues rock records over the space of 3 decades, and the Crows' on-again, off-again recording and touring schedules. While so many artists dulled and homogenized their output over the changes in the musical climate, the Black Crowes always seemed to go the other way, moving into jam-heavy, thorny releases like Amorica at the height of their first wave of success. They made music on their terms and when they felt like it, from the Faces-style rock of By Your Side to the breathtaking Before the Frost, recorded in front of a live audience at Levin Helm's studio at Woodstock. Their recent tours have been a huge success, and Happiness Bastard is the first release of all new Crowes music in 15 years. Recorded in Nashville and produced by James Joyce, Emmylou Harris, The Wallflowers, the new album is 10 relatively short songs that range from the hook-heavy rockers to loose limb jams that prove the brothers haven't lost a step during the hiatus.
I always thought it was interesting that their guitar player, Mark Ford, got kicked out of the band for drugs. He got kicked out of a band that has songs called Ozone Baby. How much heroin can you possibly do to get kicked out of the Black Crowes? Anyway, but getting back to this record, from the first chords of lead-off single Wanting and Waiting, a song highly reminiscent of Jealous Again from the debut, the album weaves dramatic hip-shaking blues with their signature dash of swagger. Wilted Rose, performed with country vocalist Lainey Wilson, is the longest track on the album, offering a slice of Chris's signature tragic psych poetry. She held a wilted rose under a darkening sky, crying when I looked behind. Bolstered by a ferocious slide lead from Rich. Heavier fare like the Zeppish Follow the Moon is a luscious low-end riff tumbling from Chris's fingers, coupled with soaring slide melodies. Chris delivering the curious lyric, if you're going to make an accusation, you better point your finger soon. The harp-heavy Bleed It Dry somehow captures the raucous 24 people bumping into each other in the studio vibe of the Stones' Exile on Main Street record. But the one we're going to play for you now is the ballsiest in-your-face Crowes track I've heard in years. Listen to the way the drums kick in for this one. Rock and roll needed this band to return. Welcome back, Black Crowes. This is Rats and Clowns. Okay, Deaf Ears 3. Before I say who it is, I want you to pay special attention to this one. Why are you even here? If the answer is to find out about obscure, ridiculously impressive music that nobody else is talking about, you have come to the right place. Sushi Mamie Ray are an all-female trio that formed in Tokyo way back in 1999. And for nearly a quarter century, this band has assembled a discography of absolute heart-stopping art punk, combining aggro chops with playful pop smarts. Burly bass lines, chicken scratch guitar lines, and vocals that run the gamut from screaming punk rock to twee pop coos. There is no band that makes me stare at my record player in astonishment more than these three. The band's name is a kind of cryptogram assembled from pieces of the names of the original lineup: Yayoi, Tushima, Mary, and Mizu. And their latest album, which according to Google translates to The Band is Water, is 11 tracks of pure bonkers, punk rock experimentation, and sugar-sweet pop hooks.
The band has moved into a somewhat poppier direction since the death grunts of early records like Pregnant Fantasy, but they still make the most modern punk rock sound like brainless slush. Take the galloping opener, Show You My Soy Sauce, a track that wastes no time taking off on a wrought iron bass line from bass players Yayoi, accompanied by Mary's ever-present psycho chipmunk babble vocals and a chorus that will melt the heart of the most ardent Dark Throne purist. When you have settled in, the band shifts to psychotic double-time sort of shuffle, uttering the words soy sauce approximately 158 times in the span of a minute.
Or more.
Like all the records from this band, it is music that you can't really settle into, ever. Color is a playful ska trip decorated with luscious 3-part vocal harmonies and a simple yet impossible guitar hook. The song we're going to play for you now is my latest obsession, Look Back in Anger, packed with Mary's sexy purrs and stream of consciousness vocal chirp. You have been in a rut lately, And if you think stuff like Kim Gordon and Mannequin Pussy are pushing any kind of boundaries, you need a sonic smack in the face from this Hello Kitty trio that never seems to age.
I fucking hate Mannequin Pussy. I hate that band. They suck. This song is called Look Back in Anger. Another great show under our belt. Lots of Japanese artists this week. Yeah. I encourage you to go on YouTube and watch Loudness performing live in 85. I think there's one in
I
Pennsylvania.
think it was no less than 15 hands of hairspray, and he's come.
Minoru's hair is ridiculous. It really is, we talked about our shitty internet service. Yeah, not much more you can say about that.
Oh.
Now my computer makes a noise when it goes out. It goes ba-bum, but it's almost like wah, wah, wah. You just lost the internet again.
We brought back the incomparable Gary Shirk.
We did, yes,
Yeah,
and his
sure.
trip to Cracker Barrel, which who of us was not thrown for a loop the first time we walked into a Cracker Barrel and we're like, I don't want to buy into this shit.
This has been the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast. Special thanks to the Andersons for appearing on the show. Joanna, we gotta absolutely meet up in New Orleans. I think we'd have a blast. Snaggletooth theme courtesy of Kemgren of the Firebombs. Deaf Ears theme by Tim Green of the Fucking Champs. Season 3 artwork courtesy of KC Angel. You can find him on Instagram at KC Angel Art. Deaf Ears bands, get over there and check them out, as well as Lucifer 5, Black Crows, Lesbian Bed Death, and Sushi Ma Mi Ray. All content 2024, the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Snaggletooth, land of rising sun.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.